Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. A very warm welcome to you wherever you may be joining us, tuning into the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is indeed episode 69 tonight, and it is going to be an absolute pearler of a show. We are so excited, so looking forward to it. And my name is Tonci Prusak. I'm one of the co-hosts of tonight's show, and joining me in the studio as he does week in, week out, Steve Curtin. A very, very big warm welcome to you, Steve, on a, well, somewhat chilly Monday evening.
That's right. We had a great weekend in terms of fine temperatures, 18 degrees. It felt like spring, and today or tonight, certainly for anyone who's out trying to do any training tonight, any cross training, it's pretty cold out there. That wind came through Geelong yesterday afternoon and nearly blew the roof off. And isn't it always good how we start the show talking about the weather? But I guess that is part and parcel with Geelong, isn't it? But look, the spring will, it's had a false dawn. That's definitely true. It was pretty hot yesterday morning. I was out running the Barwon. It was damn hot, but well, relative to now. And things have cooled off, but no, things are hotting up with the show tonight. We didn't get a show last week, so it's exciting. No. It's all the more exciting when we do have a week off. We come back, we've got even more to analyse. There's always something going on around the region, even when there is no, the higher levels, the NPL, the state leagues, they're not happening, but there's still a whole lot going on to talk about.
Tragic. It is indeed tragic with what is going on in our state and indeed our country. But we're going to keep a nice smiley face on today, because here in Geelong, last night on the Football Out West show, our co-host Craig Filer did comment that Wales is God's country. Well, we like to think that Geelong is in fact God's country. And football returns after the enforced lockdowns on the weekend. So we had great amount of action both in the juniors, the seniors, the men's, the women's, and we'll be talking a little bit later on in the show with everything to do with the local senior competitions. A lot happened there. Some really interesting things happening as far as some of the games and some of the ladder positions and in particular the women's division, as it's one more week, and then we're going to have a split of the division into a top half and a bottom half. But more on that later. Steve, guests. We've got one huge overseas guest coming to us all the way from Europe. Tell us more.
Yeah, pretty excited about this. So we've got, it wasn't long ago, he was on the books of Geelong Soccer Club there at Stead Park. He's now plying his trade. He's plying his trade over there in Eastern Europe in Macedonia. And his name is Davor Trifunov, also a former Altona Magic player. And we're looking forward to hearing what life is like over there in Macedonia at the moment. Pretty exciting stuff, hey?
Now, that's a league we don't hear too much about. And it's obviously a footballing country we don't know much about, but there is a very strong Macedonian community here in Geelong. So to all of our friends down at Geelong Soccer Club, and indeed there are skis scattered all around the footballing community here in Geelong. This will be an eye-opening interview, and it's, every kid's dream when they start playing football, Steve. They want to play in Europe. Well, all right, this young chap, Davor Trifunov, maybe might not be playing one of those glamorous leagues, but he is playing as a professional footballer in his parents' birthplace. In fact, it's the town where his parents were born and raised. So we'll find out more about that a little later on. Like I said, I, for one, cannot wait to find out and get a bit of an insight into a competition, into a league that we don't really know too much about. But now looking forward to that. That's a little later on in the show. And also a late guest, a big, big thank you to this particular person. She's from the Drysdale Soccer Club, to talk about, who is it and what's she going to talk about, Steve?
Yeah, well, from Taylah Wright, she's a late inclusion into the show tonight. Taylah Wright from Drysdale, she's going to be joining us, and she's going to be involved in the All Abilities Gala Day, and there's a couple of those coming up around the region, and we're going to cover all the details, but the first one of the two is happening in Drysdale, and it's a really, really good and important initiative that's happening, a good thing by Football Victoria and the clubs involved that put this together. And we've seen footage of these days before, and it really puts a smile on your face what's possible when we come together and try and make the best of it, and make sure everyone's included in football, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, football for all.
Yeah, absolutely. And fingers crossed there'll be no more imminent lockdowns or anything like that to spoil the party, because I tell you what, that is such a fantastic concept, the All Abilities League. And here in Geelong, we've been running now, I think, for 4 or 5 years or something like that. So it's certainly something that in the past, we've had Gen U being involved as a sponsor. The TAC have got on board as well. I think in the very first edition of the All Abilities League, we had 6 clubs involved. I think nowadays they're about 3, if I'm not mistaken. But we will find out more about that and exactly what is involved in the All Abilities Football League here in Geelong with Taylah Wright a little bit later on. But, mate, let's chat news. There's a lot of news happening. Quite a fair bit of news happening, actually, and I've just dropped my news sheet, so I better go retrieve that. Tell us, what's the first thing on the news desk tonight?
Oh, I've gone with the digital news sheet here, Tonci, so luckily I can't drop that on the ground unless my screen falls down. But, we're going to open with a bit of news. Football Victoria is calling for expressions of interest for a C or B licence course or courses in Geelong. So that's happening at the moment. 2 types of courses. And they're described in depth in this content here that we're going to put up on the screen now. And there you go there. And we'll put some links there for you. But if you want to get in touch, you can email Foddy about this one. We've got the Football Australia C youth and senior license. There's a bit of cost involved there, but you might be able to get your club to put up some of those fees if you're affiliated with a club. The C license is a 7-day course. With additional what is that?
There's pre-work, pre-during, and post-course tasks.
During and post, yeah.
And, but the C license course...
sorry, go on.
I was going to say, Steve, the C license course is really the bare minimum course that if you're wanting to coach at, NPL level or even senior level. And I guess at community level, it's not so much of an important thing. But, if you've done your game training or skills training certificate, I'm told the vast majority of that initial component, the general component, is actually, in fact, a kind of covers a lot of that component of the skill cert and the game cert as well. But it is quite hefty. It is generally a 7-day, as I said, a 7-day course. But then there is a little bit of work that you do need to do in videotaping your what you're not. But if you are lucky to be employed and actually being paid to coach, and that is actually a job, and some people are lucky to do that, I guess this could potentially be a tax deduction. But go see your accountant about that. I'm not a registered accountant, so I'm not going to give you some financial advice.
Don't take financial advice off Tonci or myself. No.
When I was working at Football Victoria, Steve, how many times you'd hear from people, oh, we need to have a C license course in Geelong. Oh, we need to have a C license course. When are we going to have a C license course? Well, look, folks, the expressions of interest are being sought now, and it's over to you whether we are going to have one or not. And the good thing is about everything that has there's not much things that has happened over the last 18 months, but the technology is improving in so much ways that potentially this could actually be even offered, or if not fully online, at least partially online. And then obviously that component where you have to go off and videotape your team or what you're not running certain drills. But brilliant concept, brilliant opportunity. And I would absolutely, beg all the coaches out there that are serious and do want to take their coaching somewhere, seriously consider doing the C license course. And for those that are C license course coaches wanting to move on to their B license, well, here's an opportunity for that course to be held here in Geelong. So absolutely get on top of that ASAP.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so we'll move on now from the coaching course opportunities. So make the most of those if you can, and as we said, we'll put those links in there so people can look into those and sign up. Go right ahead and sign up. Now, next point: Rangers committee meets with Geelong councillors to discuss Myers Reserve redevelopment, and we saw this news. I think last Thursday night, this meeting took place. Tonci?
Yeah.
And a delegation from the Geelong Rangers committee met with councillors there, and you can see there's a couple of Geelong. There's actually 3 Geelong councillors pictured in the shot there. We've got Grisbeck, Aitken, and Contale pictured there with Lisa Brooks, the president, and one of the other chaps from the committee there as well. Tonci.
Martin Brandwick, right. Good old Martin Brandwick, who's I do believe his portfolio is facilities and fundraising or government relations or something like that. So he does a fantastic job with I mean, look at that, folks. Look at that. That's a report that's been prepared, and this is a club that's in the past, well, just the last 12 to 18 months, have actually undertaken a strategic development plan, if you like, or what you want to call it, and have actually released a strategic plan for their members. So they've got some great plans and intentions up at Myers Reserve. And, Lisa Brooks is doing some amazing work there. So good on the Rangers. And, it's not often that you get 3 councillors meeting you. 1 or 2 is sometimes amazing, but they've got 3 councillors that have come along. So that's brilliant stuff. They really should be applauded for what they're trying to do. And, people say, yeah, but they've got three grounds. What more do they want here? But you know what? They've got lots of women playing. They've got lots of juniors playing. They've got several senior teams playing. And, potentially they could have even a lot more. And look, I would love to see every club in Geelong have another field. Doesn't matter if they've got 4 fields like Geelong Soccer Club. Let them have 5. Let them develop 5. I want to see every club have magnificent floodlights. I want to see them have undercover seating facilities, not just standing facilities, seating facilities. I want every club in Geelong to just go up a whole level, and you watch the level of football, the level of players produced, the infrastructure, and watch you not, we will be a major sport, not forever a minor sport. So, I applaud what the Rangers are doing. Good on them.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And there's a big push at the moment for a lot more funding to go into the World Game as we approach the hosting of the Women's World Cup at a federal level. And that's obviously very, very important. It's good timing to just keep pushing to try and improve our facilities. And obviously, Rangers are a club that, as you said, they do a lot of heavy lifting with, not that they would consider it that, but they put a lot of our junior players through their paces and get them up to speed that often go on to play at higher levels, or they might just go on to play community football. It doesn't really matter. But they have had to deal with, fairly facilities that have been getting a little bit tired. And it's good that they keep on going and being such a powerhouse as part of the community, from community football up to their top tiers where they're producing a lot of good footballers. So, it's good to see, and hopefully they can get that Myers Reserve looking spick and span.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving along, mate, speaking of coaching courses, we've got some more coaching courses or expressions of interest being sought for a game training certificate. So that's at the community level. So we've heard about we talked about the A license, the B license and the C license. Now we're talking about a game training certificate and potential for having a course there. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so we're looking at a option now to put in an expression of interest for these courses, or this course that could take place in mid-October. And so if you can get those in, the course will run over 3 nights in October. And what have we got? A handful of Warriors coaches, including a couple of senior team players who represent the new crop of coaches coming through the Warriors system, who will be attending the course. Will be made available to other aspiring coaches from the Geelong region. So
the North Geelong Warriors hosting a game training certificate at Alco Park in mid-October. It will be done in 3 nights. Most likely it will be done on a Monday night over 3 consecutive weeks. Foddy Kiprian, the club ambassador for the Geelong region will be running that course. A few participants have already shown a lot of interest there. And a few participants have shown already interest in it, including a few senior players at North Geelong. So that is a good thing. That's a positive thing. Now, if you're interested in that, we will have a link for that as well. We'll pop that link up in our comments section as well. So by all means, get onto that. If you're not for the C license or the B license course,
we might put our names in. We might put our names in for that one, Tonci. What do you think?
Well, I actually did a game training certificate.
Oh, you've done it.
I think there it is. That one up there, right up the top there. I think it hasn't expired. I think it's still actually available.
Yep.
Mike Chapman, who has been involved with a lot of women's clubs at the Rangers and most recently at Geelong Galaxy. He was the instructor on that weekend, so that was good. I really enjoyed that course, and definitely, I certainly from personal experience recommend it. And if you're a coach just starting out, the game training really is there for I think it's 13 to 17-year-olds that you can certainly implement and use any of those concepts and what you're taught and some of the drills as well for all levels, whether it's seniors or whether it's juniors as well. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, mate, we are going to talk a little bit more about it later on, but very, very quickly, the all abilities. We talked about the all abilities, and we'll just bring that up.
Get that up on the screen now. So we've got two Gala days coming up, and you'll get these details come up on the screen now. So there you can see session 1 is at Drysdale Soccer Club there at the Drysdale Sports Precinct. That is on Saturday the 21st. So that is this weekend. That's 10 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. So that's happening this Saturday. And then the following Saturday, the 28th, same time at Grovedale Reserve there, hosted by Barwon. So 2 great sessions there. And we'll talk a little bit more with Taylah about that later in the show.
Yeah, that we will. Indeed, we will. Now, we're going to take a very, very, very quick break. Won't be too long. When we do return, we will be dissecting all the weekend's action in the local leagues, the men's Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and also the women's division. Don't go away. Okay, welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 69 tonight. Your hosts, Tonci Prusak and Steve Curtin. Steve, let's now talk about the local competition. It was great to have, even though you couldn't have potentially spectators. When I say potentially, the beauty thing about community football is that they're usually played on reserves where you can park the car right up the front, or I've seen that happening quite a fair bit of times. And even some of the games at the Leisure Time Centre, there was a game played at the Leisure Time Centre on Friday night, but it's so beautifully positioned that you can park your car on the outside of the field and still be able to watch the game from the comfort of your car. And no COVID can come anywhere near you when you're protected in your own car, that's for sure. So that's the beauty of being able to partake in some of these community
and might I say as well, we are reaping the rewards at the moment of being in regional Victoria. Nothing says country Victorian sport more than the horns going in the car after a goal. So I hope there's a bit of that going on.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Or you hear the window rolls down. Hey, watch the car when someone don't park behind the goals, people. Yeah. Never, ever do that. Yep, ever do that. No, don't do that. Or do what I did. I parked we were out of Breakwater Eagles yesterday morning, and the second pitch have got car parks parallel to the field, about 5 meters away from the actual touchline. And you get some of the kids kicking the ball, and it just goes into the side door there, and having to do your own little panel beater job. Is
forget the hail dance. It's the soccer ball dance.
Freaking damn kids, and then you look around, it's your own son. No,
what often is the case. You're getting ready to go off your tree, and it's your own.
Yeah, your own flesh and blood, as they said. Mate, let's talk about the men's Division 1 competition. Let's first of all turn our attention to that, and let's look at some of the results played over the weekend. We'll look at the ladder, and then we'll also look at the fixtures as well. Take us through some of these games played on the weekend in men's Division 1, Steve.
Yeah, well, it was the big occasion at Bell Park Sports Club on Friday night. And speaking of getting spectators in, I think they did get a bit of a function going in their social rooms there.
It's actually at the Leisure Time Centre.
It was moved. Yes. Okay.
The bright lights.
Maybe they were watching it via a telecast through someone's iPhone, possibly. Perhaps. I think they were having some meals there on Friday night at the club. But 2-2 between the first and second teams on the ladder there. So, and the goals for Barwon by Benson and Honeyford, the goal scorers at Bell Park, didn't go up on the Sports TG. But 2-2. So we'll come to the ladder in a moment to see what equation that leaves us with.
Before we go further, folks, here's a big appeal to all the clubs in the Geelong region. I know it's considered the Sunday league. I know it's considered just a pub league or whatever you want to call it. But guys, it's the only league in Victoria, or the biggest league in Victoria, if we don't talk about the Ballarat or the Bendigo or the whatever leagues, Warrnambool. So, guys, treat it almost, with a certain degree of professionalism. One thing, please put your scores up. Please put your scorers up, because every week now we're going to be covering these games, and we'd love to be able to say, oh, okay, Oliver Hunniford scored for Barwon, and who's the other fellow? Did you say Daniel Benson scored for Barwon?
Yeah.
But for Bell Park, unfortunately, we don't know who scored. Even though Bell Park are on top of the ladder at the moment. So, and they're not. We're not picking on Bell Park by any stretch of the imagination, because there are other clubs that are doing exactly the same. So, folks, please, on a Sunday night, make it your routine to update your scorers and update your scores, and so that come the Monday. I know I was chatting to Foddy Kiprin, the club ambassador of Football Victoria, and he collates the scores, or someone from the competitions department collates all the scores on a Monday. They've got to get it to the Geelong Advertiser by about 11 a.m. so that they can get it into the Advertiser for the Tuesday. Now, unfortunately, we sometimes not all the scores are in because of one simple reason: the clubs, they haven't submitted their scores, or the scorers. So please. Let's
all right. There's an impassioned plea there. Let's hope that happens for the rest of the season. Let's move on to the next games at Banyulwarri. Surf Coast 3, Geelong Rangers 1, and the goal by Murphy was the goal for Rangers. So a good win on home soil for Surf Coast. Armstrong United.
Their goal scorers. Sorry about that. There's Surf Coast goal scorers here. Thomas Auld, Jad Escaffi, and Ben Ryder, all notched up singles for the Coasters there at Banyulwarri Reserve. Armstrong United, mate.
Excellent. Well done to Surf Coast on that result. Armstrong United, they hosted Corio Bay down at Pelican Park, and Corio Bay came away with a 2-1 win, and we've got goals for that game. Kelly for Armstrong United, and McNamara and Wah for Corio Bay. So well done to Corio Bay getting the result. And it was the exact same scoreline, with the visitors getting the points. FC Leopold 2-1 winners at Drysdale on Sunday as well in that Bellarine derby. The goal for Drysdale was scored by Geared, while for Leopold it was Andrews and Rollo.
Well done to those guys. Elko Park Cardinals did have the bye. But have we got a ladder there? Let's see if we can
have a ladder. But if not, we can read out a ladder.
Here we go.
We need.
There we go. We've got the ladder. It's got it all there. On top, Bell Park with 25 points, having a great season, and they've got some star-studded players in that lineup. I'm told Mio Marinovic. There's Ange Di Moro. Rocky Caruso. There's a few other players there as well. I'm not too sure who else, but that's a lot of those players that 2 years ago retired from the senior team, the State League 4 senior team. Obviously, last year there wasn't a competition, so this year they're making somewhat of a comeback.
This could be disputed, but we could call them the Sunday League Galacticos. They do play in white, so that kind of checks out.
Real Madrid, yes, that's right. The
all
all whites.
Makes sense in the comments. Yeah.
That's right. And Barwon, who held Bell Park to a 2-2 draw, they are doing really well as well. They're on 24 points, so 1 point behind Bell Park. And both those teams have got a game in hand, so they can certainly streak away and make those top 2 positions their own. Surf Coast had a great win on the weekend, so they've moved up to they're in outright 3rd spot. Look at the gap between them and the 4th place teams, and there's a real battle going on for that 4th position, Steve.
Yeah, there's a bit of a deadlock there of teams on 13 points. Elko Park Cardinals, FC Leopold and Drysdale all on 13 points. Then it goes down to Corio Bay, who got that win on the weekend. They moved on to 10 points. Armstrong United and Geelong Rangers both locked on 8 points at the foot of the table in the men's comp there.
Yeah, 9 teams in that division. So, I guess it's too early to know exactly what's going to happen next year. But, you'd like to think that there'd only be maybe 1 team relegated and 2 teams promoted from Division 2. Don't know. But speaking of Division 2, mate, let's move our attention now to Division 2. And there we go. Now, that first game was played on a Friday night, and my sources do tell me that Elko Park Cardinals, in fact, defeated Barwon Heads 5-1 in that Friday night fixture at Village Park in Barwon Heads.
Yep. Yeah,
maybe or anything like that.
Maybe that's why Barwon Heads didn't want to post the score after
maybe
copying 5 against them, if that's the case. But 5-1 there we're hearing for Elko Park Cardinals, as you said. And then on Sunday, Barwon 1-1 with Deakin Ducks Black. Good win for Corio, 3-0 over Surfside Waves. And it was also 1-1 at White Eagle House as Breakwater Eagles shared the points with Geelong Rangers.
Yeah.
And we take a look at the table for the men's Div 2 there. And Barwon, they are doing well in this comp as well. Doing well in most of the comps, really.
They are indeed. And that tells you just how much depth they've got at that club, obviously. If they've got the seniors and reserves playing in State 5 and doing quite well, Divi 1, they're second. Divi 2, they're first. So Barwon have got a lot of depth and doing very well in the various competitions.
But it's pretty even as well, though, mate. Breakwater Eagles and Elko Park Cardinals also both on 9 points. Deakin Ducks Black, on 15 points from their 9 games. Deakin Ducks Black, they're on 11, as are Barwon Heads and Corio. So three teams on 11, and then you've got Geelong Rangers on 10 and Surfside Waves there on 7. So, I mean, I suppose most teams have only played 8 or 9 games there, so that's why the points tallies are still, but very even, though, I must say.
Very even, absolutely. And look, there's only, 1 game in hand, Barwon Heads and Geelong Rangers. Potentially a win there for Barwon Heads, and they'll throw them up into that battle for that second spot, the top 4. But there are 8 teams there. I do believe there was 1 team that's pulled out. There was originally 9 teams in that competition, and I'm not too sure who that was. So if Santino Mamone, Brenton Ray, or any of the other guys who are on the stream at the moment, if you do know which team was it that was in Division 2 of the men's competition and has pulled out, do let us know. But yeah, look, so we've got 9 teams in Division 1, 8 teams in Division 2, and then have a look at this. Look how many teams we've got in Division 3. Oh, my Lord.
It's the Mega League. We're on 15 teams in here, aren't we?
This is the Mega League by a mile, isn't it? Far out. That's, 15
crazy
teams. So, look, I don't know what they're going to do next year. Are they going to cap it at 8 teams per division and then make it so that, there's 4 divisions of 8 teams each? Maybe that might be the way to go because, like I said, there's 9 teams in Division 1, 8 in Division 2, 15 in Division 3. How weird is that? Look, we've talked about this, Stephen. We'll talk about this, I suppose, a bit more in weeks to come when we talk about next season. But if they actually split this division up into 2 divisions, you'd probably get more and more teams starting to enter the Division 4, particularly those social teams, masters teams, and team like Armstrong United will keep saying it. They had 44 registered players this year. Too much for 2 teams, not enough for 3. Now, if you had a Division 4, bet you there would have been people coming out of the woodwork to want to join up. And maybe that's what they need to do next year, have 4 divisions of 8 teams in each division. And off we go. But let's not talk about next year. Let's talk about this year, and let's go through some of the games, some of the results.
All right, so we'll kick it off. Corio on a bit of a goal-scoring spree, 11-2 winners over Barwon. So Corio, they're pretty hot at the moment in the men's Div 3. Good win for Armstrong United's squad there, 3-2 over Geelong. Drysdale at home going down 3-2 to Corio Bay. And Bellarine Sharks, Deakin Ducks Black. That game didn't take place, we're told. A good win for Colac Otway Rovers getting the points there. 4-3 winners over Barwon Head. So we know that they travel a long way. They've had some difficult times, but they've got the points there in a 4-3 result. Fantastic.
A special shout out to Colac, because it was, apart from the fact that it was their first win of the season, like it was their actual first win of the season. But apparently they had a lot of players that play in Melbourne or based in Melbourne, obviously couldn't come because of the fact that that simply because
they're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to, of course, yeah. So as a mashup, according to their social media post, it was a mashup of a couple of players that came down from 3-0 down to win 4-3. But even more impressive was the fact that there was like a couple of under 16-year-olds or 16-year-olds playing. So I'm going to read this out, what they said. It's been a while since our last win, so the team song was a mashup of a couple, blah, blah, blah. The seniors come from 3-0 down early in the second half to win 4-3. Even more impressive, the team was short due to some players in lockdown, so 3 under 16s players stepped up, 2 making their senior debuts to make the win just that little bit more special. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. That's fantastic. And
that's their first win of the season as well.
First win of the season. Who knows when the last time they won?
4 points for the season. Yeah. So they would have had to get the words out for the team song and try and figure out how it goes. Yeah, it's been good.
Some big results there. FC Leopold going down 6-1 to Surf Coast. And then we also had Breakwater Eagles having their colours lowered to Lara United, of course. Lara United winning there. So great result there. Now we've just got Davor Trifunov, our Macedonian guest from overseas. He's just joined us in the green room, so he'll be joining us very, very shortly. Folks, stay tuned for that. Make sure you do not go away. You do not want to miss that one, that's for sure. And if we've got the Division 3, men's Division 3 ladder, let's have a look at the ladder, Steve.
Yeah, so it's Corio on top there on 24 points ahead of just 1 point ahead of Geelong on 23. Then we're looking at Lara United 21. The Deakin Ducks squads there neck and neck, both on 20 points. Then Bellarine Sharks on 19. Armstrong United 17. Barwon Heads on 16. Surf Coast 15. Barwon on 14, along with Corio Bay. Dropping down to 10 points is Breakwater Eagles, also on 10 points, FC Leopold. And as we said, Colac Otway Rovers, they moved up onto 4 points. And Drysdale, they're still on the 3 points with 3 draws this season. Yeah,
fantastic. Good to see so many teams. That's, like I said, 32 men's teams. There was 33. For the life of me, I do not know which was the team that pulled out of the Division 2 comp, but would be good to know. But look, that's quite amazing in a post-COVID. Well, I won't say post-COVID because we're still in the midst of COVID, but a post-lockdown year to have that many teams come. That's a credit to the local clubs. Good on them. Now let's quickly just turn our attention to the men's Division 1 competition for this week coming. The round of matches this weekend. It kicks off on Friday night with 2 big games on Friday night, Steve, both under lights. Tell us a bit more about these games.
Yep, so we've got Elko Park Cardinals there hosting Corio Bay on Friday night. Also, we've got Bell Park hosting FC Leopold. So a couple of big Friday night fixtures. Then moving on to this Sunday afternoon, Armstrong United hosting Barwon, and Drysdale hosting Geelong Rangers, and Surf Coast get the weekend off.
Yeah, so Bell Park, it looks like they have made their temporary home out at the Leisure Time Centre playing on the pristine surface. So,
is there an issue with the pitch at Bell Park Sports Club at the moment? Someone might be able to put it in the comments if they know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, or if they just prefer to play their games on a Friday night, and that way they've got the weekend off. I know with a lot of the guys,
I'd say it's probably that,
if they're involved in junior coaching or their kids are playing, or for whatever reason, they probably prefer to have Saturday and Sunday off. So by having the games played on a Friday night, you get the rest of the weekend off, and that's not a bad thing to have. Actually, I think that's a great idea. So that's that. Yeah, let's turn our attention now very, very quickly to the women's division. So if we look at the women's division, this is round 13 games played this weekend, Steve.
Yeah, so we had a big one on Friday night and towards the top of the table, and it was Barwon 1, North Geelong Warriors 2. And we've got goal scorers in that game. Sharkey for Barwon, and it was Spearha with the 2 goals for North Geelong. So good win there. I think that was first versus fourth, if I'm correct, going into the round. Now, Geelong, they had a 9-0 win over the Geelong Rangers squad there. So a great result there at Stead Park. And also some of those other fixtures from Saturday. Corio Bay getting a good win, 6-2 over Surf Coast. And we've got the scorers. Taylah scored 4 for Corio Bay, and also goals for Hay and Darby-Wall for Surf Coast. It was Feeks and Van der Vulder getting on the score sheet. Now, Deakin Ducks Gold, they are at the wrong end of the table, and they had a pretty tough day going down 15-0 to the Geelong Rangers senior women's squad there. And we don't have the scorers for that one, or at least I haven't seen them in Sports TG, because there were so many of them, they just lost track of all the names as the goals were flying in, mate, there. And finally, in the final fixture there, the later game on Saturday, Armstrong United 1, FC Leopold 1. The scorer for Armstrong United was Mason. Don't have the scorer for Leopold.
Leopold was Aaron Altman, and I believe it was a penalty, and that's information courtesy of one of our members, Leonie Smith, who's also the coach of the Armstrong United women's team. So thank you, Leonie, for providing that information earlier tonight. The ladder. Let's look at the ladder now. And it's a 13-team competition. Now, we talked about the men's division being such a success, or the men's competition going 33, 32 teams this year. Potentially, you could have 4 divisions of 8 next year, or even more. This is one of the sad things is, unfortunately, this year we had from 22 or 23 teams in 2019 and a potential to have 3 women's divisions. It's now dropped down to one single division of 13 teams. But, Steve, I am told that next weekend they're going to have the final round of catch-up games. I think there's about 3 games there. And once that is done, then the league will be split into a top half and a bottom half, effectively a division and a B division, which is good. But anyway, that's the ladder at the moment. Rangers running rampant at the top of the competition standings.
Yeah, Rangers seeing the pace there on 33 points ahead of North Geelong on 27. Deakin Black there on 25, as are Barwon. Geelong on 21. Drysdale on 20. Surf Coast on 19. Then a little bit of a gap down to FC Leopold in 8th there on 11 points. And the Geelong Rangers, their younger development squad there on 10 points. Corio Bay on 9. Barwon Heads on 7. Armstrong United on 4. And Deakin Gold on just the 3 points there, and a few teams to play that catch-up game this weekend. That's Armstrong United, Barwon Heads, Corio Bay, Geelong Rangers, development squad, Barwon, and Deakin Black to catch up those games. And then, hopefully we'll see they'll have a bit of a mini comp with the top. I don't know if they'll go with the top 6 or the top 7, and then the other squads. And then, it'll be good. Everyone will be pushed to play at their highest level, so it'd be good.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a top 7 competition there, you have a look at the caliber of those clubs. Geelong Rangers women, of course, they're miles ahead at the moment. North Geelong Warriors got some very exciting youngsters there. Yeah. Deakin Ducks, look, they've probably been hit hard by the fact that they haven't got so many international students, and in the past they've had some absolute rippers. Barwon Soccer Club are always up there. And look, both Deakin and Barwon, if they record a win, they could potentially jump into second spot, either of them. Geelong Soccer Club, they've got some proven goal scorers there in that team. And look at, they've got 56 goals for. Second only to the Rangers. And then you got Drysdale Soccer Club and even Surf Coast, who have got a strong pedigree of female footballers. So if you actually had a Division 1 competition of, say, the top 7 teams, every one of those teams would be quite competitive. So and then the bottom 6 or so, Leopold, Rangers, B Team, Corio Bay, Barwon Heads, Armstrong United, Deakin Ducks, Gold. That in itself would be quite a competitive league. So definitely something to look forward to. So catch up round for this weekend, and then after that. So hopefully next week we'll have a little bit more information about what is going on with the women's division for the rest of this season. But the men's competition, some really interesting fixtures coming up, and permutations, combinations, and what you not. But mate, it's almost time to get to our first guest. And
it well and truly is, yeah.
Yeah, he's, like I said, he's in the green room, so he's looking forward to it. Before we move on, though, here's a very quick announcement. Just show your support, become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's so important, especially in these days, in these tough times. We need every support that we can get. Sponsorship is very hard to get by, so we do need your support in other ways. And becoming a member of the show is a huge help for us. There's the website, www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. When you become a member, you can also nominate your club, and we'll feature that club on our show in the Club in Focus segment. And not only that, but you'll also you'll receive every day, every weekday, you'll be receiving direct to your inbox a daily Geelong football news bulletin, exclusive news articles about the local football scene sent direct to your inbox that no one else will get. Don't go away, folks. We're going to, after this short break, we're going to be back with our first guest, all the way from Macedonia, Davor Trifunov. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. You're tuning into episode 69. And Steve, before we go any further, a big shout out to all of our regular, loyal viewers, listeners who are tuning in from the lockdown areas. We've got Vladimir Zetovic. He's a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Maxi Santich, that we can see in the comments section. Gents, to you guys, stay strong, and hopefully you can be out of a lockdown as quickly as possible so that we can see some football action happening. Although Brenton Ray's not very confident, and he says after today's announcement, he's tipping that we are on the brink of losing another NPL Victoria and Football Victoria Men's State League season due to COVID lockdowns. Brenton, I hope you are wrong. I hope you're not right. He's generally right, but hopefully he's not right this time. But let's hope that. Let's just hope that better days lie ahead. Now, speaking of better days lying ahead, the next man, the next guest, his career has just gone international. And to think, just a few short months ago, he was plying his trade. Ripping up the flanks down there at Stead Park, and it's an absolute pleasure to have joining us now all the way from the other end of the globe, Davor Trifunov. Davor, a very, very warm welcome to you. How are you?
Thank you very much, guys. Look, I really appreciate it. I'm feeling really good. It's a bit early for me. I've had training and whatnot, so I've just come home and trying to get some rest in. But look, I'm glad to be on the show, and I really appreciate to be here as well.
Now, the life of a professional footballer: you get up, you go have a soccer training, you go have football training, you come home, have a bit of a rest, a couple of media commitments and what you're not, and then probably is there more training or for conditioning later tonight, or is it just nice and relaxing and enjoying the Macedonian summer over there?
Well, we've just started the season, so we're in round 2 now.
Yep.
So we've toned down with the double sessions. We're focusing only on one session a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, just gonna be enjoying the nice weather for the rest of the day, pretty much.
Now, Davor, as we're seeing a little bit of footage there of some highlights packages of you playing. There we go. There's a nice little circle that tells us exactly where you are, mate. First of all, let's talk about your career thus far. You started off as a junior. Was it at Altona Magic, or was it Werribee City? Tell us more about your junior days.
Well, I started off playing. I believe it was about 2008, 2009 at Altona Magic. I spent a year or two there. And then I decided to move onto Werribee. So I played at Werribee City from, I believe it was under 11s through to under 16s. And then I decided to go for another career change. I went back to Altona Magic. I spent two seasons there or 2.5 seasons rather in the under 21s team or the under 20s in the youth team, and then progressed slowly into the first team, and then spent about a season and a half there. And then look, I wanted another fresh start, I guess. I'm always keen on those types of things. And then I moved down to Geelong, and I guess I spent the better half of 2020 before all the lockdowns hit. But
for a minute, I thought you were going to say you spent the best years of your life in Geelong.
the better half.
That's true. That's also true, though, right?
Yeah, and so then obviously, look, the opportunity arose to come to Macedonia, and I think that I've made the right decision. Seeing everything that's going on in Melbourne at the moment, I think that I've made the right choice. And look, it's been great so far, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving every minute of it.
Now, Davor, I've just read that the club FK Borec is 102 years old. It's pretty impressive. Tell us a bit about the club and the town that you're in there.
Well, look, it's a pretty small town in comparison to some of the bigger cities, like I would probably say Skopje or Tetovo, which look at, Skopje is the capital with about 500,000, and then Tetovo's got about 80, 90, 100,000 people there. If you include the villages as well, it's looking at about 300. But we've got about 50,000 people. And look, it's in comparison to Skopje is the most, I guess, the city that reminds me most of Melbourne. I've got a couple family members there as well, but I've got 95% of my family here in Veles. And look, it's a small city. The club's been around for, like you mentioned, over 100 years now. But look, we've as far as I've been following it the past couple of seasons, I've obviously grown a little bit older. The club's was, I guess, for about a good part of it, 20 years, was struggling in the third and the fourth divisions of Macedonian football. But in the past 2 to 3 seasons, they've obviously been brought back to the top tier, and they're there at the moment. So that's how it's been for the club.
Now, mate, you're actually following your father's footsteps. Is that right? That he actually played in the Macedonian First Division. Did he play for FK Borec, or did he play for another team?
Well, he spent prior to the Macedonian division started again in 1992. So obviously prior to that, he played in the Yugoslav third division with the Borec team. He spent about 4 or 5 years there. Then his career obviously progressed around 22, 23. He spent a season at Metalurg Skopje, which is again in the Macedonian First Division. He spent 2 years at Vardar, then a season at I believe it was another team in Skopje as well. And then after that, he came back and finished his career at Borec as well. In comparison,
and you move over.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
What I was going to say was that
I was going to say your move over there. Sorry.
That's right, go for it.
Your move over there, like to Borec, how quickly did it come about, and did you envisage it happening in advance, or was it something that took you almost by surprise?
Well, look, I'd spent a week at the club back in 2018. At the end of 2018, when I finished VC, I spent 1 week here training, and then I played a friendly match then. And then there were obviously discussions then that I could have stayed, but at that time I was a little bit hesitant because I was going into my first year of uni. I wanted to try that out. Things were still going well for me in Melbourne as well. I was playing obviously at Altona Magic in the top tier of NPL 1. So look, I was happy with everything and the way things were going. And then when COVID hit in Melbourne, I started to make my own highlights video. So that highlights video is actually something that it's a little project of mine that I spent late nights on during lockdown when there was really nothing else to do. And then about a year later, I obviously through my dad's former teammates, former coaches, he had a few contacts, spoke to a few agents as well, sent the video through. And look, when you're coming from, I guess, Australian football, particularly NPL football, which is semi-professional, it's difficult to go ahead and get yourself a professional contract unless you've had prior experience at a professional level, which I had that time. I'd been lacking. So obviously everything that was being offered was a trial. And look, I spoke to my dad, I spoke to my family about it. And then when the first lockdown in Melbourne for 2020 hit, when we had that first little break, that's when everything, I guess, kind of progressed a little bit quicker. Started getting in contact with the club. They were interested. They were keen to bring me in during preseason. And then obviously, look, I was applying for exemptions. I got my travel exemption rejected twice, so there was setbacks there. And then finally, when it did get accepted, it was a 24-hour turnaround where in the morning it's accepted. I'm flying the next day. And then obviously going through the trial process, it was successful. I ended up signing with the club for one season at this point. And then look, last week I'd obviously made my debut. It was a 30-minute cameo off the bench, but it's all unraveled really quickly. But like I said, I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. I'm gaining a lot of new experiences, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Now let's go through some of those results over the weekend in the Macedonian league, and Davor, you can bring us up to a little bit about that. Sorry, was that the fixtures? I think there's the results. That's the upcoming round. Match day 2. So well, let's go from left to right. I guess we'll touch on your Borec in a sec. Now, is this right? Shkupi against Macedonia.
Yeah, Shkupi against Macedonia, George Petrov. So George Petrov's a team from Skopje, but look, Shkupi's the favorite for the league this season. Together with even that Skendia team that's on the second one there. So look, Shkupi's got in comparison to a lot of the Macedonian teams, Shkupi and Skendia do have the largest budgets, and the level of player that they're able to, I guess, encourage to come and play for their club is much higher than majority of the teams in the Macedonian.
And are they from Skopje, those two clubs, or what's is that the reason why they've got such strong bargaining power, or are they just backed by wealthy benefactors, or are they privately owned? How does it work?
It's more the wealthy benefactors that are investing quite a lot of money into the clubs. So Shkupi's a team from Skopje, and Skendia's a team from Tetovo as well. Shkupi's got a really, really good, or I guess they're backed really well by their main sponsors and investors there. While that Skendia team, they've just come off winning the title. They've been playing UEFA Champions League qualifying, Europa League qualifying over the past couple of seasons, and obviously they've been progressing through that, and that's how they've gotten to be a really strong team. And look, that result surprises me the most. That Skendia team losing. So look, like they said. I've read a few articles prior to the season starting. Shkupi and Skendia have been the favourites for it. And Shkupi, I guess, there you go. First game was a draw for them. And I think second game as well, they've taken that 4 points. But that Skendia team, it's quite surprising. They've been unable to win a game so far. And, again, hearing whispers that it's not all that well down there. But knowing that they've got such a high calibre of player, I wouldn't be surprised if they bounce back and win 10 games in a row. It wouldn't surprise me.
Some of the other games: Struga 1, Pelister 0, Akademia Pandev 2, Rabotnički 0. And Rabotnički, my very limited knowledge of Macedonian football, are they one of the bigger clubs? Are they? They've played a few European games and things like that in the
Yeah, there's some of them. They're, I guess, one of the more successful clubs in Macedonia by the fact that they've obviously got into the later stages of Europa League qualifying and Champions League qualifying. I think there was a period back, I want to say 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, where they would have played. I think they played Liverpool in a Europa League playoff.
Wow.
To actually qualify for the Europa League. So that was one of those types of achievements. And look, when you compare Macedonian football to, I guess, other countries, not only around Europe, but even Eastern Europe as well, it's not as strong. So when you hear about these types of achievements, I guess you would call them achievements, because to go and give Liverpool a match, or to go and, in Vardar's case, for example, going to the Europa League group stages, or even Skendia's experiences going to the later stages of those qualifying rounds, it's something to actually be proud of, considering that we're a country of 2.5 million people, and with what limited things we may have, what limited resources we might have, and the clubs might have, that they are achieving quite well.
Very good. And Academia Pandev, they're actually owned by Goran Pandev, I'm just reading here as well, which is another good fact as well about the Macedonian League. Now, tell us a little bit about your debut for Borec's Davor, and I've seen you playing as a fullback at Altona Magic. What role are you playing over there?
Well, look, I've always naturally been a defensive midfielder. So as a part of the squad at Borec, I am obviously training and attempting to play as a 6. But what happened was, round 1, it obviously made the squad, and I think one of the fullbacks, the right fullback, he did get a little bit tired at the 65th minute mark, and they looked to the bench, and they'd obviously said to me, they'd watched my video and they said, "You can play fullback, can't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, go for it, no worries." And I'm usually I'm quite a big person on overthinking. It happens a lot. It tends to happen a lot. So I was just watching the game unravel, and I'm thinking to myself, if this happens, what am I going to do? If this happens, what am I going to do? And it all happened so fast where it was like, yep, you're going on. I didn't have time to overthink. So it gave me kind of like a good opportunity to just go out there and play. And then there was about like the 87th, 88th minute mark. I looked up and I saw the result, and I saw what minute it was on the screen. And I was like, oh, wow, I've actually been playing for like 20-something minutes now. This is insane. This is crazy. But because it happened so quickly, I kind of just allowed myself to do what I do naturally. And what's quite good as well is that even though I am naturally a 6, I've been playing as a right fullback for the past 2 seasons, both at Altona Magic and at Geelong. And knowing how quick the football is here compared to the NPL football, I knew that going into that 6 role straight away might have been a little bit difficult for me. So kind of allowing me to go at right fullback, it gave me a little bit more time to think, a little bit more time on the ball, a little bit more space to kind of go forward and attack. And, it came out really well. And look, a lot of people at the club were happy. A lot of the players, a lot of the fans were happy with my performance. And it's just key that I keep on working and training hard. And we go from 30 minutes to 45 to 60 to starts to full matches. And, eventually the sky's the limit pretty much.
Yeah. Now, what's the level of like fitness, the speed, the skill, the technical ability of Macedonian football, say compared to NPL football that you've been accustomed to? Is there a massive difference, or is it, could a lot of players, that are here in NPL 2, NPL 3, for example, be able to do reasonably well over there?
Yep. Well, look, I'll be honest. When it comes to the physicality level of the game, I feel like there's less of an importance on that here. So you won't see a lot of off the ball challenges. You won't see a lot of physical football. It's all really technical. There are a few teams who do tend to be a bit more physical, and it is more of a physical battle than a technical one. But I think that a lot of the teams do really focus on the technical ability of their players. And some of the players that I've been able to train with here, you can't really distinguish what position these players are, because everybody seems to be able to do, those little basic things. And even when it doesn't come to basics, I feel like a lot of these players are capable of being versatile and playing in other positions because of the focus on that technical aspect. I wouldn't really say that a lot of, obviously I'm not disrespecting any of the NPL 2 or NPL 3 players, and I'm not making myself out to be who knows what. But I do think that there are some players, particularly in the NPL 1, who could come here and comfortably play. As you go down the divisions, I do feel like less and less players will be able to make it. But that's never to say that they can't. And like I said, look, I would have never known if I'm capable of doing what I am doing right now if I didn't try. So look, coming out here and everything's new. I've been here, I believe it's a month exactly today. It's 30 days today. And I've just developed so much more as a player. I think that a lot of things that I've been focusing on, I didn't really focus on in Australia. And seeing that I'm able to do that here, it's gotten me, I guess, looking into the future. I feel like I'm more prepared for not only Macedonian football, but even European football. If God allows me the chance to go ahead and, you know, be able to play in some of the bigger leagues around Europe.
But what an amazing experience. So, mate, tell us what, you know, how many training sessions do you train a week? How often, you know, how long do the training sessions go?
Yep.
Do you do strength conditioning outside of there? Do you do, you know, match analysis and things like that? What's the typical life of a professional footballer in Macedonia?
Yep. Well, look, we do train every day, but obviously there is a little bit of moderation in the type of training we do. So it's not like we do all out running every single day. And, you know, in this next 7-day period, we've got 3 matches. And in between those 3 matches, we've got 4 days of training. So it's going to be quite an intense week, particularly. But what I do like, and what I guess is a new experience is obviously, look, during preseason, we were training twice a day, once in the morning and then once in the afternoon. But pretty much for this week, it would be, we did a training session today. We'll do a training session tomorrow morning as well. Today's was less intense because we had a match yesterday. So obviously the players who didn't play and who weren't in the squad, who didn't play as much if they were substitutes, we did more of a harder session. Whilst the players that would have gone ahead and played 90 minutes, they would have trained just a little bit less. Tomorrow's session will be a normal session before the match. And then we'll probably do some video analysis on our opponents as well. We also tend to do, when we have one match a week, we do our own match analysis on the previous one. So the coach will obviously sit down with his coaching staff and he'll look at good moments, bad moments, and we'll work on that throughout the week as well. And then we'll have the match on Wednesday. Then Thursday will again be just a little bit a lighter session, not necessarily recovery, but just a lighter session. And then on Friday, it will be a little bit harder. On Saturday, just before the match as well, it will just be again a regular session. And then on Sunday, looking into another match. But usually our sessions last between an hour and an hour and a half. They don't go for too long, but they aren't short sessions either. It just depends on how our schedule will be for the upcoming week and who our opponent will be. Sometimes if we've got a really hard opponent, we'll do harder sessions. If we've got an opponent that we could feel that isn't as strong as, you know, as in comparison to other teams in the league, then we'll do sessions that are a little bit shorter. We'll conserve our energy and, you know, be able to go into our games a lot more fresher.
There we go. We've got the fixtures on screen for the round 3 competition, which is midweek, and that's Australian time, by the way. So Renova at home to Borec at 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. And do you know much about Renova? I mean, they're third at the moment. 1 win, 1 draw. You guys are in 5th spot, so everything's very close at the moment. Do you know much about them?
Look, not as much as some of the other teams, but based on just their previous result, being able to beat Skendia, and, you know, that Skendia team is a team that, like I said, are favourites, and they've just come out of, you know, Champions League qualifying and UEFA Conference League qualifying, I believe. So to be able to go out and, you know, knowing that this Skendia team has been, you know, training much more, they've got a bigger budget as well, to go and beat Skendia, that's quite an impressive result. So we know it's going to be a hard game. Particularly because it is away, and I believe that they've got a decent fan base as well. Not amazing. They're not going to come out in thousands, but they'll come out in hundreds. It's going to be a difficult one. And look, obviously from the town they are from as well, they've got quite a lot of backing from their locals. Just as we did yesterday, you know, we had a decent crowd at our match, at our first home game of the season. But look,
what sort of crowd are you talking about? Like, what sort of crowd would you be pulling in front of?
Well, look, you'd had your generic supporter who's obviously going to sit in the stands and just watch the match, and you're looking at that pushing, you know, 700-800 from both the home and away team. And then obviously you had we had our, I guess you'd call them ultras. I'm not too sure how else I would refer to them to.
The active supporters,
the active support, the active support. Yeah, they're about 50 to 100, and then even the away team brought about 100, 150. So look, it definitely doesn't drop below 1,000 at a home game.
It's a bit like a North Geelong home derby there, the LG Classico, whatever what do we used to call it, Steve?
G Classico.
G Classico, yeah. All right, mate, we're going to have to leave it there, Davor. So thank you so much. It's been really, really interesting getting a real insight into, like I said, a league that we don't really know too much about, and hopefully the all the fans here in Geelong, the large Macedonian community and football fans in general will have found that interesting, because I certainly did. And before we go, mate, any message for any aspiring young footballer here in the Geelong region who dreams of going to Europe?
Yeah, look, I think the key is, particularly for myself, it is really important, especially in Australia, to focus on making sure that you are getting in as many sessions a week as possible and just training and working as hard as possible, because at the end of the day, the more effort you put in, the better prepared you will be for when opportunities like, I would say, this one come about. Look, I was very happy with the way I was prepared. So when I came here, besides the fact that the time zone was different, I didn't feel like it was too difficult of an environment to adapt to. And, looking at it, it's been 1 month and I feel really comfortable here. So I guess making sure that even though you are in Australia, being able to prepare yourself for a European mentality of training and work ethic and being able to play at that certain level is the most important.
Brilliant. Mate, once again, thank you very much for joining us. Look forward to following the fortunes of Davor Trifunov at FK Borec in the Macedonian First Division. All the very best, mate, for the rest of the season.
No worries. Thank you very much, Tonci. Thank you very much, Stephen. I really appreciate you guys having me on today.
Good luck.
Thanks, Davor. Best of luck, mate.
Davor Trifunov, a very nice, well-spoken, well-mannered young gentleman from Melbourne's western suburbs. Who, he's I guess he's our latest export, isn't he, Steve? He did play for Geelong Soccer Club, albeit one season, and he has now gone to Europe to play in the professional league. So he is our latest international export from Geelong. Great to see.
Very good to see. We'll keep a close eye on his progress.
Absolutely. Now, mate, we are running behind a little bit, so we will go straight to our next guest, and she's been very, very patient, waiting in the green room. But it's my pleasure, my absolute pleasure, to welcome to the show from the Drysdale Soccer Club, the All Abilities coordinator there, Taylah Wright. Taylah, how are you? And thank you for joining us.
No, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm going well. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
Good to we're really happy, and I guess unlike metropolitan Melbourne, we're very lucky. We count ourselves very lucky that we have got some live football that we have got, and assuming all goes well, that we don't have any lockdowns or any untoward circumstances. This weekend, a big thing is happening down at Drysdale Sporting Precinct. It's the All Abilities Gala Day. Tell us about the Gala Day first, and then we'll talk about the whole All Abilities League in general.
Yes, so we are excited to have the first of 2 gala days down at Drysdale this Saturday, starting at about 10, heading through to 12:30. As you mentioned, all things going well, we will have everyone down there on Saturday. We have had it planned a few other times earlier in the year, but unfortunately, due to things that we just can't control, it's been pushed back. So we're finally there. We're excited to have it all in. So we've got a few things planned. We've got like a match between all the players, and then we'll have some other things like closest to the target, some fun games and things like that for everyone to take part in. And then DOC Academy will also be down there to run a session as well. So that'll be great. And all the rest.
Yeah. I guess that's from 10 till 12:30. We don't really know as far as restrictions, but as we get, I guess, closer to the day, there'll be more information from Drysdale Soccer Club or maybe even from, I guess, Football Victoria as to what can and can't be done. But fingers crossed everything goes well. Now, tell us your involvement with the All Abilities League. How did you first get involved with the concept?
Yeah, so previously at Drysdale, Paul Rawson was heading up the All Abilities involvement, and he chatted to me and said, would love to get you on board. And then I've kind of taken over since then, from about the end of 2019 onwards. And unfortunately, obviously last year didn't get off the ground, but that was for all the competitions. And then finally we're here in 2021, and we wanted to get a 6-game season up, but just due to things that kept getting pushed back and just couldn't get it up and running. So we've gone with the Gala days this weekend, which is a really great alternative. We're looking forward to celebrating everyone's involvement, and then we'll look on to further opportunities later in the year. But yeah,
fantastic.
And Taylah, do we know how many numbers we might get at the event this Saturday, or is that something that's still to be determined? And how far and wide are people coming? Obviously not from Metro Melbourne, but how far and wide are they coming from to be a part of this?
Yeah, as for numbers, I believe each club has got about 3 or 4 players. But then, of course, we're still recruiting, still happy to get people and players involved. Absolutely. At this stage, we've got Drysdale, Barwon, Geelong Rangers, and I could be wrong, but maybe Lara also involved. So, Geelong Region's well represented, I think, around the areas. But yeah, if anyone else is interested, please get in contact with FB or with Leisure Networks, and they can direct you in the right area. But as for this weekend, it's all Drysdales, and yeah, we're excited to get going.
Awesome. Now, tell us a little bit more about what's happening down at Drysdale Soccer Club. Do you play yourself? Are you involved with the women's competition?
I am, yes. I have played for quite a few years now. I think this is something like season 11 or something ridiculous. I'm actually the goalkeeper this year because, someone has to do it, put my hand up. And then the more I played that role, the more I loved it, and the more I felt that it was exactly what I wanted to be doing. So, we're waiting for the fixtures to be released, and hopefully we've got a game this weekend because after everything and the lockdowns and all the rest, it's been about 6 weeks or between our games, so we're excited to get back out there.
Wow, it's a long time. Yeah. And are we believing that they're going to split the league into 2 divisions for the final weeks of the campaign? Is that what your understanding is?
Yeah, the last I've heard that they're still interested in doing that, but we did receive an email today saying just keep waiting till we confirm. They're working on it this week, so
keep waiting.
What would you like? As good as mine.
Yeah, that's a great email to receive.
Yeah, Taylah, you've been there for 11 seasons. You've seen the rise and fall and rise again of the women's competition locally. And Drysdale was such a big power broker at one stage, a power club, a real powerhouse a few years back. What would you like to see happen with the women's competition here in Geelong?
Oh gosh, you've put me on the spot there.
Well, whether it's structurally or whether it's other clubs getting involved or what, I mean, we were just talking about it earlier today, and we were saying, like, if you had the top 6, top 7 in a Division 1 and then the bottom 8 or 6 or whatever, you'd have such a good, I mean, I'm looking through some of the teams: Geelong Rangers, North Geelong, Deakin, Barwon, Geelong, Drysdale, and even if you throw Surf Coast there, I guess all of those teams would be more than competitive, wouldn't they? I mean, it'd be quite a good quality first division. Yeah. And then you got second division, so to speak, FC Leopold, Rangers Development or Reserves, Corio Bay, Barwon Heads, Armstrong United, and Deakin Ducks Gold. That in itself would be quite competitive. So, we've spoken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think next year would be great to see the divisions come back into it. Obviously, this year that wasn't a possibility, but just to grow women's participation again in soccer would be fantastic. I know there was talk a few years ago of even having a 3rd division, and that would just be, I mean, I am all for as many players in the sport of soccer as possible, all abilities and women's included. But yeah, definitely introduction of divisions and maybe some like grading matches at the start of the year, so we know that we've got the right teams in the right division would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Could not agree with you more. Yeah. Steve?
And how's the facility going out there at Drysdale Rec Reserve? The pitch has been holding up to the amount of play and training they've been having after the year off last year, and the club rooms infrastructure there. Is everything up to scratch for what the club needs at the moment, or are you hoping for some further upgrades in the coming couple of years?
Yeah, so it has been a bit of a juggle this year. Training-wise is fine because you've got 4 nights to get all the teams trained. I do know sometimes on the weekends it comes a bit tricky when you've got 3 or 4 matches there, and one of our fields has been out for a little while due to a burst pipe underneath the ground.
Oh. No.
Yeah. But I think as of next weekend, I think it's okay to be played on again. I think there was a juniors match on one end of the ground this week. So, as for now, it's good. There's obviously the redevelopment in the works, but I can't give you much of an update on where council and all the rest is up for that. But we are looking forward to the redevelopment. We're looking forward to growing and expanding, because right now we've only got 2 change rooms, and so once you have more than one game, it just makes it tricky. You can't you can't have 5 teams in only 2 change rooms. So we're looking forward to it. We're fingers crossed all the once it gets started, it goes nice and quick, because that would be just the best, and that helps us grow our involvement and grow what we can host, whether we can keep hosting an All Abilities Gala every year or all the rest. It really changes things for us.
Absolutely awesome. Taylah, thank you very much for joining us on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It was a last minute thing, so we really appreciate you going out on a limb and coming on the show, and we certainly look forward to hearing some good stuff coming from the Drysdale Sporting Precinct this Saturday. All Abilities. All the very, very best for it.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Good on you. Taylah Wright, the All Abilities coordinator from the Drysdale Soccer Club, joining us here on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Steve, good show. Jeez, we kind of weren't planning to go this late, but
no, we got through a fair bit of stuff tonight, though. So
yeah. So well, hopefully we'll be back again next Monday. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, on Sunday night, we've got the Football Outwear Show. We're going to have our special Italian Serie A correspondent, Daniel Pagnocolo. I think that's his name.
I think that's right, Pagnocolo.
Yeah. And
probably said it wrong.
Yeah. And so looking forward to that, the Italian Serie A kicking off this weekend. So there'll be a fair bit of coverage on the Football Outwear Show on Sunday. And we'll be back next Monday night, hopefully with more local league football, and we're going to focus next week on the juniors. So don't miss that, mate. All the very best, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, you have a good week, mate, and I hope all of our viewers and listeners have a good week as well.
All the best to you, mate. Take care. Bye.